Whatevs. Hi.
How are you?
I'm not tired. I'm kind of wired and amped, so I might be a little bit of a spaz. I'll definitely won't last an hour because I'll have to move and do like jumping jacks. Hi, Miss Erin.
Hello, Kristie. How are ya?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
We're good.
We're both tired.
Yeah,
I wish I had your energy, Kristie.
still drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Yes, so am I. I went and got Starbucks.
Oh, that's well. You have kids. Like
Yeah, still.
I'm the smart one. I'm the smart one of the three of us, obviously, without kids.
Yeah, you just taught and then handed them back at the end of the day.
Later, yep. For sure.
That's the smart
All right.
way.
Well, I figured we would introduce you, Kristie. Nobody knows who you are or anything like that. So everyone, this is Kristie. Kristie, we've internet known each other, I think, for what, 6 years now?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, because at least 5.5, because Cooper will be 6 in June.
Yeah. So you and I go way back to when, it's before I even had my business. I just had Abel in his Instagram account starting on Raw, and then that's how we connected. I'm sure it's the same with you and Aaron, because that's about the same time Aaron and I connected, I think.
Yeah, and then that's kind of when Instagram went on, I think. Well, maybe not, but whatever.
I think it was a little bit before then.
Yeah,
but yeah,
probably.
I think it was bigger than it is now. I think TikTok kind of took over.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not involved in that.
Really, I wasn't for the longest time until like at night, my husband was just laughing his butt off in bed. And I was like, I want in on this. Like, what are you watching? And, you know, it was kind of like before the algorithm took over when, like he was just watching, it was just like fun, lighthearted videos, people doing stupid stuff. And it was just real funny. But now it's like you watch one video all the way through and then that's all you see, you know?
Yeah.
I watch all that. I just don't have an account.
Yeah. I agree.
No, I don't either. And I have no desire to ever have one.
Yeah.
I started one for the business, but I couldn't keep up with it. I was just trying to show people how to build meals.
Yeah.
And I was just going to share that, but it's one of those things that I added to my plate that I shouldn't have because I just can't keep up with it, you know?
That's I don't need another one. I don't need another social media to babysit.
Yeah. Like I have all these plans and aspirations, but I just cannot take on anymore. So I got to reel myself back in.
And it's so funny. It's so funny because I would be the opposite. Like I tried to legit build my Instagram just because, I mean, I have things going on obviously, but I don't have kids. I don't have all of that. So like, and then the dog people that I did meet, I'm like, wow, this is cool. I want to like expand my network. I get like one like. I get like one like on all my posts. No one really ever wants to chat, you know? So it's like, whatever. So I just come to the conclusion that like social media is like for the elite, you know, like, and my account does absolutely nothing for Instagram. So it's like people don't ever see it.
That's crazy to me because you like the amount of work you put into your dogs and their training and stuff. Like I would think that it would just blow up because I love watching your videos.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's just
dedicated
weird.
You are.
Yeah, it's just whatever. Yeah, but I wouldn't mind.
Hopefully this helps.
Oh yeah, whatever. I'm like totally over it now, and that's kind of usually when it happens, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't really like want to talk about raw food. I want to talk about like, why does my dog's head turn that way? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't mind talking about raw food here, but I don't want to talk to other raw food people because whatever, I just throw stuff on a plate. But the other like parts of the dog world fascinates me, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it all ties in together. I think you know the body as a whole and you can fix a lot of things through raw food, but then there's other, you know, ways to help improve the health of your dog other than just food. So, which is where I think you're going to be so interesting to talk to because like Aaron and I, we've seen your journey, especially with Cooper. like from the
Cooper.
very beginning. Oh my God, I love Coop. Coopy.
I know.
So, did you always have him on raw food?
I think no, I definitely did not. Go away. I think it was like 6 months. He was about 6 months old, and he had that what people call that cute puppy smell, and I was like, that ain't cute. Something's not okay with that smell, or that puppy breath or whatever. I'm like, so no, it was around 6 months. I guess he was, but I didn't know any. I was like, raw food for dogs. Like, what the heck is that? Like, I was
Yeah.
just like, all right, kibble, that's fine. So I had no idea that that was even, like a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, he
So
was about
then,
6 months. And then I think I contacted Aaron, maybe he was a year, Aaron? Like,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
it was a year.
a little bit, maybe a little bit over a year, because I was feeding that pre-made for a while, just
Yep.
because that's what you Google. So yeah, I would say from about 6 months old, he's been on some form of raw.
awesome.
Yeah.
And so when you changed to raw, so what pre-made, do you mind me asking? Did you have him on?
I don't know how to say it, but it's a local, it's a local family
Okay.
who I really liked, and I actually had Erin analyze it. And I guess back then when she analyzed it, this was
Mhm.
a while, this was 5 years ago, which the industry has changed. It was decent, not like a hugely bad, like a good way to start off without getting totally whacked and overwhelmed. But it didn't
Yeah.
last. It didn't last too long because
Yeah.
it was just mush. It's like,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Had no texture.
Yeah, it's like so
So
yeah.
then, so you went from the pre-made
I went from
to, I guess, one of Erin's formulas.
well, like seven of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
She was like, "Will you stop?" I was like, no." But this was also when your thing was like, it was like peanut. I was like, Erin, you really legit need to raise your prices. Like, this is not
Yeah.
okay that I'm paying $30 for a recipe. But I'm not a math person at all, so it was so overwhelming to me. So that just to have a recipe, it was just good for my mental health. Like, so I think I have 7 for each dog actually,
Yeah.
or something
Shout
like
out
that.
to
And
you.
she was like, "Will you stop?" I was like, "No, click."
Yeah, at some point I was like, Kristie, no more. No more.
She had to tap me at the bar, It's like,
You're tapped
but
out.
yeah. But I was definitely in that school where it was overwhelming, like just the math, and she'd be like, "Oh, yeah." So yeah. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I went from that to seven recipes, and then
And so I know that you like obviously have a farm there, and so you raise a lot of your animals, and you also get your food local.
Yeah. So the thing with Cooper, yeah. So Cooper really benefited from being on any kind of raw, like all the changes happened. And then I don't know, it was a couple of months ago. Aaron and I hook up in person a couple of times a year, and I don't like, we bartered for something, or I think a farmer gave me a goat or whatever. And I was like, Aaron, I need to talk to you about Cooper. And she's like, fine. And I was like, all right, but I have to give you the goat so we can barter and trade and, because Cooper's kind of loaded, so I need help,
Mhm.
So yeah, so
Help you. I don't get
you
too
always
proud
help
about
me. Are
that.
you
I do
kidding
help
me?
you.
You always help me. But so what happened was I bought I'm not going to name it, but it was a pretty popular pre-made. And I think I remember like, texting Aaron and I was like, why is this like white? It was like pretty like, and then my point is being is and then I met Erin and we bartered for something, and I think she gave me local gizzards or something, and like the color of the meat was like my shirt. And
Yeah.
I remember telling her, I was like, I am never, and obviously they're all her recipes. I'm like, I'm never following a recipe again, because I just couldn't, not that I couldn't source the stuff that was in the recipes locally, but I just kind of had to put that stress aside to having to meet a recipe. And, you know, everyone was like, Kristie, just feed real food and you'll be okay. You have two very healthy, like, you know, and Cooper's not healthy, but he's healthy enough, you know, two very like high functioning dogs that will just be fine, you know? So I literally just started feeding like the rainbow, and I haven't bought anything online, in about, I don't know, about 8 months, which is a big deal for me, you know, because I would always make sure that my freezer was stacked and loaded. And then I just, you know, Erin and I kind of just barter and trade for stuff. And I feel like I'm feeding real, like, I always thought I was feeding real food, but now I'm like feeding really, really like real food. And, and then the one experience I had with Erin, she and I bartered for tripe. And when I opened up the tripe that she gave me, I was like, holy cow. Like the color of this tripe was like amazing. Green and lush, and like it looked like waves, like, whereas when you get it online, and not to bash anybody, but you know, obviously it's all just dried out or corn fed or whatever. And you know, the local farms that I have around here, they finish with corn because grass fed, grass finished is, and still the color is magnificent because it's like the last month of their life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and at least they graze and all that stuff. So I just made the switch. Like I was like, Erin, is it okay if I just like don't follow that recipe? And she was like, it's totally fine. You have two very strong dogs, you know? And of course I was having a panic attack. I was like, you know, so yeah, so, you know, and it's interesting because there have been a few people that have asked me like, where do you get your food? It's so vivid. I was like, you know, I just said, you know, I'm just feeding local stuff. So, but yeah, some of that does include, you know, our pigs and our cattle, and our turkey and our chickens and stuff. But yeah, so that was the original question. Sorry.
No, that's okay. So you've mentioned some of the things like with, okay, Cooper Driver is, and like, I don't know, he's like the epitome of what a GSP should be. He's just so beautiful.
Yeah, but he has a few issues too that Erin and I are like, it's like, who cares? But you know, he's got like this thing on his nose that it never goes away. You know, so he's not a perfect dog. You know, he has something, and he's positive for Lyme, and you know, but he's not all that interesting because he's not really symptomatic except for that thing on his nose. But yeah, Cooper's really interesting.
So why don't you kind of tell the history of Cooper and how he's come to be through his diet that you're feeding?
Well, oh God, I don't even know where to start. And you might have to be like, so just like shun me down. Well, Cooper, I guess the biggest thing with Cooper is when I first started feeding raw with Erin, he was finally eating. Right. So like before Erin, even with it, like he just never ate. I think I spoke to you on the phone too. It's like, and I tried everything, tough love, tough, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, in retrospect, I now know that it's kind of like, he just wasn't a healthy dog, right? Like a dog that doesn't eat, like, you know, like,
right.
Or show, you know, he doesn't have to be food motivated, but I would put his plate down and he would just walk away. You know?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like the biggest change with Erin's recipes. Remember, Erin? I'd be like, oh my God, he's eating. I would send her pictures. I'd send her photos of him like licking his bowl. You know, it's like, I'm sure she was like, oh my God, you know, but so that was like the biggest thing. And then he had his first seizure at about 3. And this is where the good stuff comes in, because Erin obviously is your, like, you know, completely holistic and all that stuff. And he started seizures, and then I got his thyroid checked. So I had to make that decision of like, do I put him on medication? Like, what do I do? You know? So, and the thyroid, without even knowing, it did like puff him up. He didn't like gain weight, but he puffed up a little bit, and his eyes were like really like druggy. Like it was just weird. Like he was really lethargic. But in retrospect, I don't remember that him being all, because we hunted, or if he was like on a scent, he would be fine. I was just like, oh, he just has a really good off button in the house, you know. But as like a 2-year-old, 1.5, 2-year-old dog, he should still kind of be a little energy, you know, German Shorthair Pointer. He should still been kind of like reckless and a little ampy and challenging. So I started the synthetic meds, and then Cooper did great, I guess, a couple of years, Erin, right? Like,
Yeah.
and he was getting, and Erin did kind of like, she knows me, so she knows where to push me and where not to. She definitely did mention diet, like when Cooper first started, but I kind of heard it, but I didn't really hear it, you know, because I was like, there's, you know, I kind of heard it, but I didn't really hear it. He never was on medication for seizures. And then about a year and a half ago, so I never did anything with the seizure, with the food and the seizures. And then about a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years ago, he was randomly kind of screaming, like vocalizing pain out loud. And it would just happen so infrequently that I'd be like, oh, he must have stepped on a rock or something, you know, like, and then, it kind of kept like happening, and it was just like, you know, he was off leash and he'd be over there, and I'd hear him like scream, like loud, you know, like not just like a meh. And dogs don't really do that, you know, like all right, if you step on their paw, but for the most part, you don't hear dogs really vocalize, you know, like a long scream. And it's just odd. It was like it was just odd. And last April, he literally screamed every day, like 3 times a day for a solid month. Yeah, for a solid month, that he wouldn't come out of the house. Like he wouldn't leave the house. And you know, I spoke to Erin a little bit about it, but I was like just in my cave because it was really overwhelming. Like to see Cooper like not want to get out of his kennel, I was like, oh my God, I got to put this dog down. But you like, what the heck's going on? And who the heck knew that there were like, I didn't even take him to the vet because at that point I was like, whatever, you know, that industry is so stressed. And then I somehow, Francine, driver's breeder, sent me a random photo of a Facebook group, bless you, a strength and conditioning Facebook group. And then I met this woman, Anna Lee, and Anna Lee was like, listen, a dog that vocalizes pain, it's intense, it's serious. Like Anna Lee to me with dog stuff is like Erin with dog food, like just really legit, you know, like, you know, she doesn't push anything, but she's really super intelligent and like really knows and is very factual based and is like, something's not right. A dog doesn't scream, you know? So she encouraged me to get the MRI, and I did, and he has a herniated disc, right? But humans know with back pain, you know, so I had to make the huge decision about medication and blah, 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 you know, and I just needed, those screams were so traumatic to me. And so they were traumatic to him too, but like, I couldn't even like be with him because, they were just awful. Yeah. So he does take medication for the nerve, like the nerve sensation. However, last March, and it's all connected, I promise, because the nerve pain is neurological, right? So that contributes to the neurological disease that he does have with the seizures, you know? So this past March, actually it was the second time, because he did fly bite before, like when he was like 6 months old, he did this weird tick, and I swear it was after a treatment of something with Lyme, you know, like I don't want to bash anyone, but he did have the Seresto collar on and I had to take it off because he was doing this weird like thing. So anyway, this past March, he had clusters of fly biting, and that's never ever happened. Like even my husband was distraught. And and his seizures were still not on medication for his seizures, but his seizures were every 4 months to every 3 months. To the last few, they were every 2 months. So they were clearly progressing, like the disease was clearly progressing. And the only really big change I did make was, yes, he did start medicine, but the medication does, he does scream still, but nowhere near where it was. I was giving him treats because I was doing his rehab stuff, right? So not knowing these treats probably have whatever in them, right? Like crap or whatever. So he had the clusters seizures in March. And I was like, okay, Erin, can we talk now?
Let's barter something.
I was like, I have 2 goats in my freezer. Can we like be friends again? I was like, I really need to talk to you now because this is really bad. So, Erin, and Erin helped me with a diet, and he's been seizure free for like 40 days past the predictable day that he should be. And I am part of this seizure, and I told Erin, like, I am part of this other seizure group, like this keto dog group, and there's this guy Mike, and he's really helpful and he really cares, and that's good. But so Erin, I have a recipe that I'm following for Cooper, and I never thought that he was like thick, but I guess he was thick, so he's really super lean right now. And this breed, I like a little stocky but Cooper lives on leash. So he's not, he doesn't really get his heart rate up. He's never so he's really, really lean right now. And then Erin can talk more about the diet because I'm still a spaz with it all, even though I've been like under Erin for 6 years now. But basically he's eating butter. But Erin can talk more about that.
Yeah.
but he's, and I spoke to Erin too. Like, I do think he's still kind of detoxing because he still gets a little nauseous, but I really believe he's detoxing. Like, I think it's going to take him, just knowing what I know about Cooper, it's just going to take Cooper like a solid probably 6 months to get his poops really steady. If I give him a little bit of husk or slippery elm, the loose poop goes away, but I can't eliminate that totally yet, but I'm okay with that, because he licks his plate. He's like ravenous all day, which is fine. You know what I mean? Like, this seems to be working Cooper, keeping him like super lean and using his energy through the fat. I don't know what it does for the brain or whatever, but like clearly something is working because he's not even like tremoring. Like he used to just, and a lot of that also was his back pain that I wasn't aware of because it was always his left leg that would tremor. But I mean, his eyes are so blah, he's just bright and engaged. And the weird thing too is there's so many behaviors about Cooper that are way less. Like, I would always put Cooper in the category where he's like kind of challenging, and I always thought it was a dog training thing. And yeah, sure, I can teach place, but Cooper's a little neurotic, and now I attribute that to seizure behavior. Like, I attribute that like that, when they say German Shorthair Pointers are wired, no, they really shouldn't be. Like, Driver is not wired, and Cooper spends so much of his life and and I just realized now with Erin, I don't even know if I shared this with you because I always try to text her like with real intention, he was always just like, I don't know how to explain it. You probably have better words for it. Just like neuro, just like zany, like zippy and alert and like great. Like, I don't know how to say it, but clearly overtaxed. Since April, when did I start the keto? I think it was like March, April. I think it was April 1st. Like, he's just chill. Like, I don't know if just to his core, like levels have changed, or I tried to do that.
The brain functions totally different when it's using ketones for energy than it does when it's using glucose.
There you go. There you go. You need some smart stuff.
Works, and that's why it works with the seizures, because the brain is so happy with that, and you see it in his behavior. You see it in the lack of the fact that he's not having seizures. I mean, it's great.
Yeah,
his eyes are just like open,
Even when I saw him, he just looks more alert, and he looks more he was always alert, but he had that kind of fog in his eyes there for a while.
Well, Well, and there was the double whammy between the neuro stuff and the hypothyroidism. You
Yeah.
know, poor Coop, you know, like he's really been given a hand, you know what I mean? The poor guy, you know, so you know, he was kind of like it was as if he was on uppers and downers, uppers
Yeah.
and downers, uppers and
Mm-hmm.
downers, right? But obviously the seizures, but the biggest thing is just kind of his like chill, like he would bite his feet, which was also a sign of pain, you know, kind of just imagine like a tail chaser, right? Even that's like neuro stuff. Like I've learned like all of that stuff is not cute, you know, like a dog being crazy is not cute. There's an issue there. Like and Cooper has taught me that because like, you know, German short hair pointers should not be hyper. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, they should not be hyper. Like, they should not, like, that is a brain thing. Like, that is, maybe it's a training issue, of course. Like, maybe if I would have gotten Cooper, maybe I could have trained his brain a little bit. But it's a certain, now that it's not really there, it's a brain thing, you know, like he has leveled down, you know, even little things like this has been always a mystery. Like he would always lick driver's sheath or penis, whatever. Like I don't mind the butt sniffing, but he would, and my husband would be like, maybe he just needs salt. Like, you know, it would drive me crazy, but like he doesn't even do that anymore. It's weird. Like he's just leveled out, you know. And of course I journaled about this since April 1st, you know. And then there are times where if he like when he does shift into that little neuroses, I guess it's kind of like a human who's maybe a little bipolar, like, or has like a manic episode. It was like that, like he's just like on. Anyway, since being on the keto, yes, great, he's not having seizures, but he's hungry. But he's chill. He's definitely a little hungry. He's definitely a little hungry. I'm not gonna lie.
He's a dog. When do dogs not act hungry? I mean, my dog acts hungry all the time.
Right. And that's actually a good point, right? So
That's
so
like
he's
a dog thing, right?
yeah. So maybe he's finally a dog. You know, like because that was like so not Cooper.
You
Cooper
told
would
me
see
he was
food and
begging for your food, and I'm like, he's a dog. Don't they always beg for your food?
yeah, I mean, and
Constantly.
and never. I mean, for Cooper to have drool is like what?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing with the keto is obviously the seizures, right? But also just this neurotic behavior, you know. So, you know, Aaron could speak to that, just his brain. And, you know, I would always be like, okay, MCT oil. No. And I did try to, and I don't even know if he's in ketosis. We could only assume that he is. Because of the behavior change and then obviously the seizures. But I did try to test his glucose or his glucose and his ketones, but I can't do that because I tried to do it with the blood thing. No, he almost bit my head off. So like, yeah, so I'm not even going to do that. But anyway, so yeah, so butter, man, butter for the win. And Aaron, of course. I mean, I don't want this to be an Aaron love fest, but it's all about Aaron because, you know, Aaron.
It is.
And I
Awesome.
even, yeah, and I even switched driver, you know, like, you know, from what I try to learn from Aaron, I try to incorporate it with driver too a little bit more, you know, just, you know, a little bit more higher fat, particularly with driver too, because I work driver, you know. So, yeah, so, you know, it's Coop is good. I mean, the scream, you know, his back is the issue, you know, but although the seizures were getting worse, so now with the food leveling out and all that stuff, you know, so yeah, Aaron for the win.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yes. So.
No, and I could not do it. Like, I'm not joking. And I tell this to Erin all the time. Like, I could not do it without her because I am a spaz with math. Like, I don't know what kind of issues I have, whatever, but like, I should be like, yeah, just knock it down 3%. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
All right, fuck it. I'm not going to text her because I just texted her 1,000 times, you know, like, and I try to give back, and we're friends, of course, Erin. So she's always so kind, but I couldn't do it without Erin. I really couldn't, you know,
No,
I really couldn't.
but no.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah. So
glad
anyway,
he's doing so good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me
But anyway,
too.
yeah,
I mean, just watching his journey go from,
yeah.
him not even eating to how he
Oh,
is now, you can
yeah,
just see through the kind of work that you do with him and the kind
yeah,
of diet that you feed him. It
yeah,
makes a huge difference.
yeah. And food is an interesting thing because like before his seizures got bad and I was really dealing with his back, I have to do his rehab, because just like, I don't know when he's hurting. And then like today he screamed, and he hasn't screamed in about 3 months, but, and ultimately my goal is I want to get him off of that medication for his back. And my gut tells me that keeping him in ketosis will drop him down to his natural ability, that while he does have an impingement, the nerve impingement, I do believe his ability to know when it's kind of coming, just like humans, can't maybe bend a certain way because they know. Cooper's that like feral dog, like Cooper will just go and eat echinacea leaves because he knows it's good for him. Driver's not like that. Cooper's very innate in that way. So I really believe that I won't be able to get him off the thyroid meds, but I really believe I'll be able to get him off the nerve stuff, because of the keto diet. Like I do think it's going to drop him just back into like his normal self, like who he was supposed to be as a dog,
Yeah.
and I believe he'll be able to monitor what it feels like. And also on my part, like I have him on a leash, so I never get him so amped where the adrenaline is running so he can't feel the pain. You know what I mean? Like he lives a very good life living a life with snufaris, and he doesn't get too amped. And when he does the leash, I'm allowed to pull him the other way because that's really the culprit is when he goes in drive, So because of that, I do think I'll be able to withdraw the medication and stuff, eventually. And I'm hopeful, like, I don't know. I say this damn dog is going to live until he's like 25.
One can hope, right?
I don't know. He's tough. But yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so that's
Erin,
Coop's story.
Why don't you want to kind of elaborate on like how ketosis helps the brain in that area? Like why is a keto diet good for
the brain? Just functions better with running on ketones than it does on anything else. It's very anti-inflammatory throughout the entire body. So there again, with his back issues, just being on it longer, he may just have less pain in general. He said he screamed today, but I mean, if you see over the long haul him having less pain, it wouldn't surprise me at all, just because it's such an anti-inflammatory diet as well.
And if I could just interrupt you with that, I don't mind that he screams, right? Because he structurally, if you look at his spine, you see the disc out, but his ability to recover from the scream, because his brain is like not as neurotic, is huge, which makes the scream today fine. Like, unfortunately, he has an injury, right? But he didn't run into the crate and not come out for a month, right? So he screamed, and he doesn't associate the pain to his body. He associates it usually to the environment. So like if he screams by the hot tub, he won't go to the hot tub because he'll be like, that thing pinched me. And it's not like that anymore. So he screamed today and it sucks. And he's a little hunched, right? But I have my rehab. I know what to do with him. But he didn't run to his crate. We just continued. And that's the stability of the mind, right, Erin? I mean, that's, so I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I did want to share that resilience you know, he's able to dog, you know, like the screams may never go away, you know, and that's okay. You know, he's hurt, but like, but he recovered. And that is huge. So that's what I'm documenting now, because if he screams every 3 months, I'll take him off those meds. I don't care, you know. So I'm not ready to do that yet, but that ultimately is the goal, to get him down to his purest form. And I'm grateful for the meds, because they did take those screams away while I can learn all this stuff. You know, you know. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt, but his ability to recover from those screams, and today was a strong one. Usually, sometimes he'll just go, meh, you know, and there are times where he'll scream at a 10. This one was about a 7 out of a 10, and he just came between my legs. I didn't make a big deal. I didn't say anything. I just rubbed him, and then we continued with our walk. So that is huge brain power as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
Yeah. So ketones, baby.
Absolutely.
Butter. Everything is better with butter.
Quality fats, all those fats, the brain likes those fats. And then there's key ingredients in his diet, like the MCT you're giving him, that literally directly help the brain function.
Yeah.
They cross that blood-brain barrier. No, you know, they don't have to go through digestion in order to benefit the dog's brain.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah,
Very
for
cool.
sure.
Yeah.
So the new diet that you are feeding, are you just like throwing the foods in the bowl? Are you still weighing stuff? How are you doing it?
For right now, I am weighing, because, you know, Erin made it, you know, has made it important that the fat to protein ratio, right, Erin?
Yes.
Is important.
He's
So
on a 2-to-1 fat to protein right now. And that's important that he stays at a 2-to-1 in order to maintain where he is. At some point, you may be able to drop that down to more of a 1-to-1 ratio. But right now, therapeutically, he needs that 2-to-1 higher fat. So it is slightly more important, just because we're doing it for therapeutic uses, to measure out his food a little bit more. I mean, I've told her several times, make it once and like you could eyeball it probably after.
yeah, no, I can
You don't
definitely
have to like to the gram anything, but you know, definitely you want to keep it at that proper ratio.
Yeah.
And then
And I don't want to
know,
mess with it
he has
right
to
now.
eat specific things, only because with that high of fat, in order to make sure that you get enough vitamins and minerals in your diet, you have to make sure you're eating the right things along with that fat. So it's not quite as, you know, loosey-goosey as we are feeding our dogs, where we're just kind of throwing them, you know, a general amount of stuff, only because, you know, he's using it therapeutically for his health.
Right.
So
Yeah. But I do that. I would do that with Driver. I don't measure anything. I just throw it. And I kind of use Cooper's, you know, I kind of use Cooper's diet for Driver as a base, you know, ish. You know, I don't give the MCT oil because you know, I just want it all for Cooper. You know, but I definitely give him the ghee, and I don't really give Driver the 90-10 because I only use that for Cooper. You know, Cooper. So I do measure for right now, particularly because his stool is still loose. It's definitely not like where it was. It's definitely getting better. But I'm okay with that, because once I start getting creative, ask Erin, like, that's bad. That's bad.
It's funny.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of
funny. I'm glad. I wanted to clarify to people, like, Cooper is one of those situations where he needs a therapeutic diet, and that's where you should be measuring and weighing things, because he has a specific condition that he has to be on a certain diet for. But in generally healthy animals and pets, you don't necessarily have to do that. So I definitely wanted our viewers to
that's
know
cool.
why. Yeah. That you
and I don't measure Driver. Sometimes I'll just throw, like, and this might be really wrong, but because I work Driver and he could lose weight so quickly, sometimes I will just throw Driver's whole meal on the scale just to make sure he's getting like a certain amount of food, you know, just so I know that he's packing calories on, whether it's if I don't have a lot of fat or whatever. But I don't measure anything for Driver. You know, to me, it's all about color, bam, color, and variety. You know,
absolutely.
So,
yeah, and you know, I don't work 6 at all. He's probably the laziest Labrador Retriever ever. but he's still really hard to keep weight on for whatever reason. So, I mean, I don't weigh his food, but I do, like, I know what 2 pounds generally looks like. So
Right.
I'll get that in his bowl and then I'll throw a little bit extra on. So, because people always ask, like, what are ways that we can add, you know, some pounds to our dog's food? And a lot of people go straight to like the coconut oil bomb things, and I'm like, no, just increase more of the muscle meats and all that. You don't have to like throw fat into the bowl for the extra calories.
Yeah.
Like, just give them more food.
And I also feel like dogs, well, I don't know what age, but dogs fill out, you know, like Cooper was granted Cooper wasn't the healthiest, but Cooper was so skinny for such a long time. And then, honey, could you let Driver out? He's whining. He might have to poop. You could just open up the door. Thanks. So yeah, like I feel like the dogs fill out too once they become adult dogs, you know?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that true? I mean, I don't want to throw in that monkey wrench because gosh, only knows where that's going to go, but I don't know. Like Cooper started to fill out a little bit more, like when he was like when he became an adult dog, like you didn't see his hip bones or his, you know, like, but whatever.
Yeah. And I think 6 is kind of in that area. Like, he's still young enough. What is he? He'll be, when did we get him? I don't even know how old he is. He's turning 4. He's turning 4 in August. Oh my God, that's so bad.
I was going to say, you got him around when I got Driver, and Driver just turned 4.
Yeah, he'll be 4 in August. And so he's still, you know, I mean, he's considered an adult dog, but he's still young. And I think he's about to get to that age where he's going to, you know, fill out a little bit more and maybe start holding weight a little bit better. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Dexter started, like, I've actually reduced. He used to eat a ton of food. He needed so many calories to maintain, but the past year, that's finally kind of leveled out a little with him, and he eats a little less food than he used to. Or maybe he's just not as active because I'm working all the time. But I feel like he's also kind of, his metabolism is kind of slowed down a little bit. Yeah. And he's 6.5, so.
Yeah. He's getting to be little Dexter. All right. So with Driver, I guess you started him off obviously raw.
8 weeks.
At 8 weeks. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so you did DIY with him right off the bat, or was he made?
No, I did. Did I start right off with Aaron?
No,
I did not do a pre-made.
He was also eating that pre-made, I think, when I did diets. I think they were both, weren't they?
Yeah, maybe. I don't recall totally, but I got Driver on Aaron's recipes fast.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the only hiccup we really had with Driver was this nose thing. He has this thing on his nose. It's like a slit. And, you know, there was a time there where, you know, we thought maybe it was a zinc issue. I think Kinley, I spoke to you about this. And then we experimented with some zinc, and it really didn't show any improvement. And then, you know, he's Lyme and anaplasma positive with no symptoms. And then I went down that rabbit hole. We'll just skip over that. Just to get back to the same thing, which is that he just has this thing on his nose, you know, so maybe that's the way the Lyme comes out, that it knocks his immune system a little bit. Maybe it's like a cold sore, like a form of herpes. I don't know.
It's weird,
but I can't.
Because I mean, I've seen it in person, and it's just a line.
It's just a slit. So I put my calendula salve on. I tried the colloidal silver. I tried an ointment. I tried the bacitracin route. Like, I just tried everything, you know, but it just stays the same. So it's just like, so now I just put if it looks a little like, I don't like the way it looks, I just put the salve on it. So I don't know. I don't, you know, it's just.
Did you take him to the vet for it?
Oh yeah, whatever.
Well, I was just wondering, because like maybe it's a form of like maybe skin cancer or something on his nose. I don't know.
Well, no, it's like, it doesn't look cancer. It doesn't look angry though. It's like a gap,
I mean, if
line.
If it's skin cancer, he would have been dead already, I think, because he's had it for like 3 years.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know he had it that long.
Yeah.
And I know you sent a picture, but it's different seeing it, in person than the
Yeah.
picture.
Well, yeah, no. And there was a time there where it was really bad. And then, yeah. And then, I have no, it is timely to when I thought we had the Lyme diagnosis. But I have no idea. So I stopped doing oysters and just did the zinc. And then I said, you know what? I'm just, he's strong, he's healthy, he's eating. It's a mystery. Maybe it's the weather. He also, I will say, I just noticed it again recently. He just gets a little like sore over here. And he had those pimples as a baby. He gets this, so it just could be that his immune system, I mean, he's a genetically sound dog, but maybe the Lyme knocks his immunity a little bit, and he gets like a cold sore, or he gets a little like a former, it almost feel like, my gut tells me it's like a form of herpes. Like, like how adults get a cold sore. Like that's what my gut tells me. It's like, and I'm not going to give him medication for it. Like, for what? I mean, for it to go.
He's asymptomatic 99% of the time with the Lyme, but that could just be that like little 1% that shows up once in a while, because it's in there. I mean, it's in him. He's just asymptomatic with it.
Yeah,
so,
and I never.
It could just be a manifestation of the fact that he does have that circulating in there.
Yeah, and trust me, I have texted her and I'm like, I'm going to start the damn doxy just to get rid of that nose thing. And she's like, will you just shut up? If so, and I'm like, you're right. It's like a vanity thing. You know what I mean? So, I don't think it hurts him, So, I don't know.
It bothers him. I think it bothers you more than it bothers him.
It definitely, and a little bit less, but, so, we'll see. I mean, I just keep him healthy and happy, and everyone has something, right? It's like, so yeah.
You might even try like giving him like turkey tail mushrooms.
I've done all that.
Yeah, we've
done it. Yeah.
We've been down the list of everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, if you thought it was like the herpes thing more than anything, because that's pretty common in a lot of dogs.
The only connection I'm making is that he did have all those pimples as a puppy.
Yeah.
So isn't that
puppy, like, that's so common with puppies to get those pimples.
And they usually grow out of it by age 2.
Right. So, and he did. Occasionally one will pop up. So, but whatever, I don't sweat it. He eats like a horse. He's active. My goal with both dogs is just to have them age with grace, and, and it is what it is, So, so I feed Driver what I call the color wheel.
Yeah. And so obviously Cooper is on a keto diet, so he doesn't get any carbs, but with Driver, you give him
not really
fruits and you don't give him fruits and veggies or anything?
Not much, because what I realized with Cooper too, now that I feed, the diet that Aaron gives, like, Cooper was eating a lot of sugar. Like, I think, anyway, in my mind, like between the sweet potato, between the goat milk, even if I was fasting him, sometimes I would give him a little like non-fat yogurt because I made it. So I would give his medicine in the non-fat yogurt. Like, he was eating a lot of sugar. Like, I think, right, Aaron? Isn't that like glucose-y, sugary stuff?
Oh, well, they all contain carbs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's carbs. So whatever. So with Driver, I'm just like, no, So if I notice that Driver's poop is a little, I'll just slip in some slippery elm or some, psyllium husk. If now we're in August, I'll harvest blueberries. I'll plop one in there, but I don't think he needs it. I mean,
and they may just function better. My own dog, I keep him on a 1-to-1 keto ratio for his own health, and he doesn't really, like, if I give him too much any kind of carb like that, I can see he just doesn't function as well. So it's good a lot of dogs just function better using, the ketones for energy. I mean, they are animals that are meant to be consuming pretty minimal carbohydrates. For Dexter, for him, it was like, you know, I got that in my head. There's so many benefits to, you know, the different fruits and the vegetables, and I would feed him. He doesn't like them, for one. For one, he will pick out one blueberry out of like 2 pounds of meat.
Yeah.
So I try to hide a lot of stuff on him. But he get like gassy and stuff, and I'm kind of like conscious with his gut health. So I would do that yearly test. So I did it one year after giving him a lot of fruit and vegetable, like more than I normally would in his diet. And it came back not that great. And so I cut it out, and his is just better. Now it's just the opposite for some dogs. For some dogs, it comes back better when they eat more. So, I mean, it's all about feeding the individual dog because, you know.
But another issue that I had with Driver, I panicked, text Aaron. He went through this period where he puked for 3 weeks straight. Literally.
Holy cow.
Right? And it was just the bile. It was like the hunger pukes. Yeah, it was the hunger pukes. And there's no science here whatsoever, but Aaron would say, just give him a little something at night, you know, like before he goes to bed, right? Because I would feed him at 3, 4 o'clock, and then they wouldn't eat again, you know, so he would always puke at like 3, 4 in the morning. And Aaron would say, just give him a little something, give him like a little carb at night, just to give him a little snack. And I would give him just like rabbit fur. Like I have a lot of Aaron's rabbit, and I don't know if that just absorbs the acid or whatever, but like I swear since I've eliminated like the sweet potato from his diet, he no longer gets the hunger pukes. And I don't know if it's because like his glucose, like it didn't mess around like with his, maybe his ketones are higher because he has way less like starch in his diet. And like, there's no, I don't know, like, it's like, think about when we eat pasta, and then we try to not eat pasta. It's like really hard, you know, like we're starving or we're craving. Something's happening with our blood sugar.
When you're in ketosis, you feel satiated all the time, most of the time. That's why I think it's funny that you say Cooper's hungry all the time, because you don't get those like cravings, or you don't feel I was on a keto diet for 2 years just because I fixed some of my own health problems with it.
Yeah. So, and Driver no longer gets the hunger pukes.
Yeah, and it's just weird. Like you would think because you eat less, but all that fat is like it stays, and it just you don't get those like it doesn't. Your body functions totally different.
Yeah. And I swear, when I stopped the sweet potato stuff, you know, and I would give him just replace, you know, maybe to bulk up his stool a little bit with some fur. It makes a big difference. He doesn't puke anymore. Like even Steve would be like, why is he puking every night? It was literally like 3 weeks straight.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it was the white, it was the bile. So it wasn't, you know, but I was like, this is really weird. And I thought maybe it was the lime and, well, you know, this is the way he's showing his, but no, man, like, you know, he was just kind of, his body was just hungry for something. And I swear it was like the sugar, like, you know, and as I stopped the sweet potato, you know, and added the fur instead, just to like bulk his poop up a little bit, he doesn't puke anymore. You know,
that makes sense. There's
no science around that for me,
but sometimes just seeing the difference is enough proof for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sweet potatoes, I've never fed to any of my dogs. I don't do any kind of like potato. I try to stick to
or winter
fruits and
squash,
veggies.
like acorn squash or summer squash. You know, I have a ton of squash.
Sure.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're good. Like I don't even feed any of that stuff. I try to feed what they would find in the stomachs of their prey animals or scavenging, which is typically, you know, like herbs and leaves and berries and those types of things. So not that you can't feed sweet potato or squash or any other kind of, you know, broccoli or whatever. Some dogs do well with it while others don't. So you just kind of have to figure out what works for your pets.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I've noticed that I haven't had any of those issues, and I think it's because I don't feed those types of like sugary items, I guess.
And I would say that's all human error on my part, you know, because just a matter of like, that's what happens when I start getting creative. I'm like, you know.
Well, it's not that you did anything wrong. I mean, there's tons of people that, feed sweet
Yeah.
potatoes and squash and all that. We tried to give them a big variety of foods and good
Yeah.
foods.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people would just go to the vet and just get, like driver medicine for his pukes, rather than knocking it down and looking back at the diet, like as something,
Right.
all right, maybe there's a little, something off here, someone would just get him like an anti-nausea, and I'm just not going to do that, obviously,
Yeah.
But the other thing too is it's amazing what Cooper eats. Like, Erin, I've never told you this. I don't know if this is good or bad. I'm assuming it's fine. But I just like I grow all of these herbs for the damn dogs. So it's like, I have to just put them on toppings. So every day I just put a little parsley, a little chamomile, and Cooper like would never used to touch that stuff. He's like, he licks it all, It's like, so it's interesting. Even Driver too,
Yeah. He knows what he needs, I guess.
Yeah.
Just kind of like the cat herb selection thing that we talked about in our previous episodes. Like they will gravitate to what they need.
The dog
so
here too. I mean, I grow an herb garden for the dog and the cat, and we have one indoors and outdoors. And Dexter, if he's nauseous, he'll go to the mint and start chewing on mint. Like they just know, like they know the things that they need to help them, to make them feel better. It's cool to watch it.
Yeah. And that's very Cooper too.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen Driver like do that, but like I said, Cooper will go and be eating bee balm, and before I yell at him, I'll go inside and like Google it, and I'll be like, oh, okay, you can have that.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. Like you clearly know what you need, So
yeah. Six will go out. I don't know what he's eating. I don't know if it's dandelion or it's just the type of grass out there, or if he's just bored or what. He'll just go and like rip some up. I can't tell exactly what he's going after. So I need to kind of pay attention to more like what's growing in our yard.
I know. I swear Driver.
Yeah,
I swear Driver like does that curd that cows do. How how cow, and I just my husband's always like, will you leave them alone, they know what they need, and I respect that, so like if Driver's eating grass, maybe he just, I don't know, we keep things kind of not so manicured around here, so we have a lot of things growing pretty organically because we don't spray or treat, so I'm like, it's fine, if there were pesticides that would be a different story, but
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's how it is here. I mean, we mow like, I don't know, 5 acres around our house, and then the rest is all grown up. But yeah, there's no pesticide or anything out there. So I really don't care what as long as it's not a poisonous plant, I don't know what he picks at. But, all right. Well, Kristie, you made it to an hour.
I did.
Getting up and doing jumping.
I know. It's amazing.
I know you have so much energy. I wish I could just take like a fraction of your energy.
Not really. But anyway, thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for coming on and telling, Cooper's story, because I think what you've done with him is just so wonderful. You can just see the difference. And I hope people, follow you after this and continue to learn from you, because like you share the videos, you share his progress and Drivers. And it's just so like, I wish I had the time to dedicate to my dogs like you do. But
they're my kids.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well,
and
Erin and I have our kids.
You have kids.
Yeah, so there has to be some kind of like
totally
going on, but
totally.
I think it's just awesome. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So if you guys are not following Kristie, please go over and follow her and just watch.
Thanks for the plug.
Yeah,
she's desperate. She just wants to connect with friends.
I think you're awesome. I knew that this was going to be a fun episode with you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Love you both.
Yeah, you too. For everybody, this is probably our last live. We're going to try to do pre-recorded sessions now, like you guys were asking. But after this, we'll upload it to our YouTube channel, The Raw Truth. If you guys like our content, please like and subscribe. And I guess until Erin, we get our crap together and figure this out, stay tuned. We'll let you know
Yeah.
We're gonna start
And
doing our
if
pre-recorded stuff.
just FYI, if you all need help with that, let me know. Like if you want to send the content to me and you want me to make it into, just keep me I'm happy to help if you just FYI. Because the both of you
Yeah,
have helped me so much. So if you want me to give back in any way, let me know. Even if it's on the techie side of it.
I mean, if you're a techie junkie, I mean, you can have it.
Anyway, anyway, just be in touch. Let me know.
We will.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
Thank you guys. Have a
Bye.
good rest of your week.
Yep.
Take care.